Hey everyone, it is your girl Sequoia T. Gilliard, the editor-in-chief of Rejoicing Hope magazine. Today I have one of our awesome and amazing contributors, Miss La'Toya Spann. Hey La'Toya,
Hi,
how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. So today she is going to be talking to us about arising from the ashes of despair. Oh my gosh, like that is such an awesome and amazing thing to talk about. And so we're going to be discussing some of the things that you've gone through in your life that has, had you to the very bottom, and that it took the power of God to literally bring you up out of those things. So I'm
Yeah.
going to turn it over to you, La'Toya, so you can tell us a little bit about yourself, and then you can describe some of the things that you've gone through.
Well, as Sequoia stated, I am La'Toya Spann. We'll be discussing my childhood. In my childhood, I dealt with sexual abuse and adult, which led to long-term effects in adulthood, homelessness. I'm a single parent. I was married, but of course, the marriage failed, which led to me being a single parent. But I was that. Now I'm overcome of all those things. So my mission is to help people that have ever been in those places to just face whatever issue, face it so you can fix it and heal from it and move forward and enjoy life.
Wow. Oh my goodness. So can you share a little bit about, you having to deal with sexual abuse? And for me, that's something that's very personal because I dealt with the same thing in my childhood as well too. Because we don't know who's going to see, this video, but there are some people who are struggling with that same issue, and they may, be an adult as well, too now, and they're thinking about all of the things that they went through in their childhood, and they're just still devastated, as an adult. So can you speak a little bit more about your experience with that?
It happened when I was 10, unfortunately. It lasted about 2.5 years. Someone very close in the family, you always think that family would never hurt you. It was,
Mm-hmm.
those are supposed to be the people that protect you, but it don't happen like that always. I mean, it's
Right.
unfortunate. It shouldn't happen, but in our case, it did happen. Um, and being 10, I was still a child. So I had to learn to heal that inner child. And
Mm.
that's something that I'm still working on now, is healing that inner child. But it affected me in several ways. But no one knew because I always had a smile on my face. I
Mm.
was always happy, you know, and I just never told anyone until about, I think I was like 26, 27 maybe when I told some people. Well, I actually
Mm.
told my mom and my grandma first. Um, and that was just like a big burden lifted off my shoulders when I actually told them. And then they were able to understand, some things that I have, gone through, some things I have done, things I've said, they were able to understand, okay, well, maybe this was why, she said this or she didn't say this or, whatever it may be. And that they were thinking, something was wrong, but I never told them.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then, in adulthood, of course, it affected, I was very, I say was because I'm coming out of the introvert stage,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't like too many people around me. I don't like to be around too many people. I'm very protective of my children. Some people say overprotective, but hey, it's like I experienced that as a child, so I want them very close to me. Um, and I just went through a tough time in life in my adulthood due to that. But I just finally got to that point. I was just like, hey, it's time for a change, so let's do
Right.
something different.
Absolutely. And I think that is so interesting. You pointed out the fact that, was a family member, and same thing with me as well too. And especially in the Black family, and this is something that I was talking with someone else about on last night. We have these different things that go on in our family, and we try to sweep it under the rug, or you try to protect the abuser versus trying to protect the child. And so, you deal with that whole situation of, not having people to believe you, or not, getting you the help, that you need to overcome that. Because we know in the Black community, a lot of times we don't want to go to no counselors, and we like, what happened in this house or what happened in this family stays in this house, stays in the family.
Exactly.
And it does so much more damage even into adulthood. And then you also, shared, with, you didn't tell anyone, for many years. And I can't even, oh my gosh, imagine. And I was like that as well too for so many years. I, just started speaking out recently in the past couple of years with me being a writer and a blogger. I'm like, God, I have to, share this part of my testimony. So, I applaud you, for that, because there are so many people as adults right now who have dealt with that situation and nobody knows.
Right.
They're still holding on, to that hurt, from being violated, as a child. And so I commend you so much for, having the courage to be able to speak out and to, start your process, of healing, because it's so important for us to acknowledge, what has happened to us in order for us to move forward. Not to say that you will ever forget, but you don't want that one experience, or some people may have experienced it several times, but you don't want that experience in your life to hold you, as a prisoner.
Right.
So my question to you is, like, what are some things that you have been doing to be able to push forward to move past, that issue?
Well, first I had to just sit in it. Like, just sit there and say, hey, this is my issue. And I'm ready to move forward in life. So after I told, of course I felt better about it. And I was able to tell a few more people, like my closest friends. They didn't even know, people I've been friends with forever didn't even know, so I think the more I talk about it, I was able to tell people, it just increased my healing. So I've actually started my own movement, I Survive. And that's, on there, I talk with other survivors, that have gone through what I've gone through, that may not be willing to share or tell someone else, but they feel comfortable telling me.
Right.
So, I help them to just talk about it because, like you said, everyone don't believe.
Right.
Kids, or even us as an adults, when we tell what happened to us to kids, they may still not believe it. So it's hard to talk about with people because we automatically feel like someone is going to judge us. So, that's what I started the movement, to just talk to those people that feel like don't have a voice.
Right.
So I'll be their voice for them. They could just talk to me, but I'll be their voice to just bring awareness about child sexual abuse. Because like you said earlier, in the Black community, we don't want to address the issue. It is an issue. We need to think about, like the holidays. We need to think about dropping our kids off, with family members. Make sure you have that talk with them before you do, so they'll know, it's not okay for someone to do that. Don't be afraid to tell.
Right.
So that's one, that's really what I've been doing. I've just been journaling a lot, writing my feelings out. Of course, I do believe in therapy. I have an awesome therapist.
Yes.
I go in for sessions, we email, we text, we talk on the phone. So that has really been a big part of my healing journey. Just having a therapist to talk about it when, my support system, even though they're great, but, I don't want to always feel like I'm a burden to them and be like, well, hey, I'm feeling down today. So, having a therapist, that helps because that's what they're there for, to help you, not to judge you, to help you heal, to learn how to deal with your feelings and your emotions in a healthy way. So that's what I've really just been doing. And of course, talking with people like you that I'm afraid already have their platform that can help me, encourage me to continue to, just bring about awareness to the issue, because it's sad, but it's an issue that needs to be addressed.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I love the fact, that you talk about, being a voice, for other people who may not feel comfortable being as vocal, as we are. And I think, with you being there for them, it gives them courage. So when they do decide to, speak on their own behalf, that they know that they're not by themselves. And I believe that, like you said earlier, so many people are afraid of being judged,
Yeah.
because they've already, been judged in some other type of way, or because they weren't believed, and maybe they displayed behavior, because of the abuse. Like you said, you were,
Hmm.
you did things or you said things that, wasn't right, but it was because you were really hurting on the inside. And I can identify with that because I was like that too. I was like very, withdrawn, and,
Hmm.
had a lot of
Anger.
anger and hurt and
Hmm.
bitterness, all of that on the inside. So, people would judge you and think that you're that way, not realizing that it was so much deeper than, what they saw or experienced, from us as a person. And
Right.
so it's important, for us, as you said as well, too, to be able to, not be afraid to seek therapy,
Yeah.
and I'm glad that you brought that up, because so many people have been taught, oh, you don't need it, or that's not what we do, especially in the black
Hmm.
community. Let's just be real about
Exactly.
it. It's like seeking therapy is like kind of like taboo, and it
Right.
shouldn't be, because this, like you said, this person is there to support you and to help you, to give you professional help on a greater level than your friends or your family who aren't therapists, and they can be able to walk with you through that healing process,
Right.
and they can be able to be there for you, when you need them. Because, like you say, sometimes you may not want to burden your family or your friends,
Right.
and some of them may not really understand unless they've gone through it themselves what it is that you're actually, dealing with as
Hmm.
well too. And so I am just like blown away. And the thing about it is that when we go through different things, we don't know how it's going to impact us. And, when we decide that we're ready to come up out of that dark place and allow God to be able to minister, healing to us, it gives us the power to be able
Yes.
to go out and help other people and to be able to live a victorious life. And I know sometimes it seems hard,
Hmm.
because it's like, how can I recover from this? But it's something
Exactly.
that you can
Yes.
recover from it. And so I wanted to shift the conversation just a little bit. And you mentioned, that, you were sexually abused, and that you also was in a broken marriage. Can you speak a little bit about that experience?
Well, I married my high school sweetheart. We have two children together. Unfortunately, due to my issues, and his issues, you know, it just didn't work out.
Mm,
Um, because I was broken. He never knew what happened to me, and that was my husband.
mm,
I never told him what happened. So of course that was an issue, dealing with me receiving love, me giving love. It's just a lot of things in a marriage. You're supposed to be 100% giving, open communication. So right off bat, that was something that I couldn't even tell him.
wow.
And that's your spouse. You're supposed to be able to trust your spouse and allow them to love you and get through it. But we didn't have that connection, I guess. You know,
Mm-hmm.
even though I loved him at the time,
Right.
but it's just we weren't there. I was broken. I was a broken individual
Mm,
going into a marriage. I don't want to say it was doomed from the beginning, but it's like
mm,
I was broken. I
wow.
had accepted what happened to me. I hadn't healed from it. I was still bitter. I was still angry. So it was a lot of things I didn't know how to handle as
Mm-hmm.
being a woman more or less than being a wife.
Wow.
So
Wow. Oh my God, La'Toya. Oh Lord. You're getting deep, sister. Because I'm not married. I'm a single person. So I can't totally relate, but just thinking from a perspective, as a woman, like, in general, we make that mistake sometimes, where, like you said, that you were broken, and it's almost like you allow this person to enter into this broken state with you,
Right.
instead of, you know, going through the process of trying to heal. And sometimes when we get into relationships, we're looking for that person to be our hero, to
Exactly.
rescue us. And even
Yes.
if we may not come out and say that, but it's always like I need, you know, somebody to come rescue me out of, you know, this situation. Our actions and our thoughts, you know, and our motives sometimes speak to that, even if we never verbalize it. And so, did you find yourself looking for that person to come rescue you, or looking for that person to love you unconditionally? Was that what you were looking for when you got married?
Yes, that's exactly what I was looking for. I was looking for him to just save me. I was looking, you know, thinking that he could save me. That was my hero. He's going to make everything perfect, not knowing that it had to start with me instead of someone else. I had, you know, I have to heal myself. No one else can heal me. They can
Right,
assist me. They can help me along the, you know, along the journey, but they can't save me. So that's
right.
exactly what I was looking for, a savior. He was my hero at the time. That's what I was thinking, you know, went in and it didn't work out like that.
Right, right. And I think that that is so dangerous, because ultimately we're putting, you know, all this pressure on this other person that they have no idea
No idea.
about. We're putting all this pressure and expecting him to be this knight in shining armor on
Right.
this white horse coming to rescue us from our tower of doom. But
Yeah.
not even his responsibility, but of course, like you said, to support you in your process of healing. And the mere fact that you didn't tell him, you know, the things that you've gone through, can you speak a little bit more about, you know, how was communication, you know, with you, or how did that affect, you know, your marriage?
It affected a lot because communication, I'm used to, I don't want to talk. If I don't want to talk about it, I'm not going to talk. I may
Mm-hmm.
go 2 or 3 days without talking about it. You can't do that in a marriage. Like, you have to
Right,
address whatever issue is going on right then. So
right,
it would be, you know, I would be upset. Of course, he would buy me things thinking it's something he's done, but it wasn't
right.
anything done. It's just may have been a trigger. Something that he did was a
Mm,
trigger,
wow.
but he had nothing to do with it. He didn't even know that he was
Mm,
doing it, you know. So communication, it was not there at all. So that and you know, you have to have communication. Without
right.
communication, you're doomed from the beginning. So that was just something that we didn't do too often, was
Wow.
communicate.
Wow. And you touched on something big, you know, that he was trying to compensate, you know, for something that he had no idea what he was trying to compensate for, because like you said, you didn't communicate with him. And so
Mm-hmm.
like I said before, you know, he has this pressure of feeling like, okay, I must have done something wrong. And like you said, that
Mm-hmm.
he may have triggered something, and he may not even done something negative, but just
Right.
I've talked to people who have been sexually abused, but they said like somebody just touched them, you know, a certain
Exactly.
way, and that just sent them back to the time
Yes.
that they were abused.
Yes.
Especially something just like that, and
Mm-hmm.
then it send you on a downward spiral back into a place where, you know, of brokenness where you were.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, wait a minute, he's thinking, well, I must have did something wrong, she's not talking to me, you know, all of
Right.
this stuff right here. So we have to be careful, you know, when we know that we have issues that
Mm-hmm.
we haven't dealt with. We have to be careful about entering not just a marriage, but any type of relationship
Yes,
that
I
is
agree.
intimate. And when I say intimate, I'm not talking about sexual, but I'm just talking
Right.
about where you're really close, because you don't know, you know, if you don't deal with your baggage, it's going to affect all of your relationships. Because for
Every
me,
relationship you have, yes.
yes, absolutely. I didn't trust people. I'm like, hold on, wait
Yes.
a minute. You want something from me? You're trying to use me. So it
Right.
sends you, it sends you in like a whirlwind of so many different things that you're dealing with, and people are like, "What's going on?" And they're thinking that it's them, but it's not them.
Not.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's stuff that you haven't dealt with
Right.
that is causing, you know, this rift in the relationship, or it's causing it not to grow, because, you know, it's like all these different blockages and walls that have been put up that, you know, you just can't move forward. So, I mean,
Right.
I can't even imagine, you know, what that must have felt like, you know, for your ex-husband,
Mm-hmm.
you know, for him to be trying and trying, and then it's like, but you weren't the issue, at least not that part, you know,
Right.
it wasn't his fault. So can you also speak about you wrote an article, you know, about you, you know, dealing with, you know, having a miscarriage and, you know,
Mm-hmm.
trying to go to school and, you know, not having the support of your family. And
Mm-hmm.
can you speak a little bit about that?
Yes. So unfortunately, I did have a miscarriage. It was before our daughter. At
Mm-hmm.
the time, we weren't married. We already had our son, but we weren't married. And then after, the miscarriage, it was just a lot going on. I was working 2 jobs in school. I had a son already. I had to deal with my boyfriend. It was just a lot going on. Body just was like, hey, I think you're doing a little bit too much. Had the miscarriage, went, back into depression, went back of the withdrawal, not wanting to
Mm-hmm.
communicate, not wanting to be around anyone, not trusting anyone, with being a conversation, just talking to them about what's going on because I felt like you were going to judge me because, I'm like, okay, well, I'm in school. I have a son already.
Mm-hmm.
I did miscarriage. It was just a lot of things going on at the time of that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, it was just it was a bad time. But, um, I've learned a lot since then, as far as in how to really talk, get the emotions out, explain how
Mm-hmm.
you feel, because I feel like, that contributed to my miscarriage as well. Just,
Wow.
sitting on the emotions,
Mm.
not talking to anyone about what was going on, trying to, I guess, like provide and do too much. Because, like I said, I had 2 jobs. I was, in college, working 2 jobs, and then I had to come home and deal with family. So it was just a lot going on. But I didn't want to not succeed, if you know what I mean. It
Mm.
was like, I have a child, I'm pregnant with another, I have to work these 2 jobs in order to make ends meet. Of course, I'm going to school, I'm going to graduate, but in the meantime, you know, things need to be done and taken care of. So yeah, it was rough. It was rough.
Wow. I mean, I can't even imagine. And so what, you know, having the miscarriage, you know, how did it take, you know, a toll on you, and how did you recover from that? Because I'm pretty sure there will be many women who watch this video and who have dealt with a miscarriage,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't even imagine losing a child, you know, that way. So how what
Yeah.
was your mental state like, and how did you recover from that?
You know what? I really didn't start to recover until like a few years ago because I never talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't tell my friends. It was only one, my best friend was there with me. Of course,
Okay.
she knew, and then she called my mom, even though I didn't want her to call my mother, but she did because she didn't know what else to do. That was just,
Right.
being a friend, and that's what she did. And I appreciate it now, but I was very upset with her. It was like maybe 2 weeks I didn't talk to her because I was
Oh, wow.
so upset with her.
Mm-hmm.
So my mental state was not good at all. I did not want to talk about it. I
Wow.
didn't talk about it. It was just something I kept to myself. I'm like, it happened. I cried when I was alone. We always talk to never question God. But I was like, why God, why?
Mm-hmm.
Because I was young. I didn't know how to deal
Right.
with it. And with the Black communities, it's like we don't know how to express our feelings. People will
Right.
just compensate you with things, or will say, oh, it's going to be okay. At some point, sometimes we don't want to hear that it's going to be okay.
Right.
Or
Right.
you'll get over. Sometimes you just need to lend me your shoulder and not crown it. So I never
Right.
get that. So I just kept it to myself. I
Mm.
didn't speak about it. I act like it didn't happen.
Wow.
And then sometimes it would hit me so hard, I would cry. I would stay in bed. Just depression would kick in.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that you will never forget.
Right.
You always remember, and then you have like the books, or where they have like the the feet, the print of the feet, so
Right.
things like that will bring back the memories, and you're like, wow.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, my mental state was not good. I did not talk about it, didn't want to talk about it. Like, what do you mean? You're trying to talk to me like my best friend, she would try to talk, and I'm like, I'm good, And she's like, you
Right.
always say you're good. That would be my main line for
Yeah.
I'm good. Keep a smile on my face, and I'm good. What you mean? I'm good. But
Right.
she knew me, so she knew I wasn't good. But it was just like, okay, she's not gonna talk. Let me leave it alone. But yeah, my mental state wasn't good. But I mean to say, I would say to anybody, that has gone through that, you need to talk about it, because
Mm-hmm.
you don't want it to hit you all at once, and you're just like, don't know what to do.
Right.
You develop unhealthy coping skills when you actually need some healthy coping skills. So please, please, please talk about it. If you don't want to talk about it, get a journal, write
Right.
your feelings out. As long as you get it out
Right.
in some
Absolutely.
form. So yeah.
Absolutely. And you spoke about, the I'm good phrase and
Yes.
keeping a smile. And that was something that I did for many years as well too. So
Mm-hmm.
I know that all too well. And I just think that um it's interesting, that we will try to, put a smile on and, say these different phrases, I'm good, I'm
Mm-hmm.
fine, or, and really on the inside, we're broken inside, we're dying inside, but, we don't want to have to deal with, the things that we're facing. But it's like in order for you to become whole, you have to dig through all that pain and that hurt,
Right.
in order for you to truly heal and to be able to, move forward in your life. And like my thought process is like, that's a whole lot of stuff,
Yes.
that we're bearing deep down
Mm-hmm.
on the inside of us. And it's like, if we could just see, that we are imprisoning, ourselves, through our emotions,
Mm-hmm.
and we're holding, ourselves back because we refuse to, do what is necessary, to start that process, of healing. And I always think about, surgery. It hurts. I mean, it doesn't feel
Yes.
good, but at the end of the day, the results of
Right.
the surgery is far better than the pain that you experience. And so, with us holding, all of these different emotions and feelings and painful experience on the inside, the result of us hurting, holding in that stuff is hurting us, more so, even than the actual experience itself,
Right.
because we're things have happened, 15, 20, some people 30, 40, 50 years
Mm-hmm.
ago, and they're still holding on to that thing, and it has impacted their life in such a negative
Yeah.
way
Yeah, exactly.
because they're afraid to, like you said, talk about it or even journal about it, and start, the healing process. Because it's like, in order for you to be able to move forward, you're going to have to go through that stuff. There's no way,
Nowhere around it.
nowhere around it. So for you, can you tell me, what was your turning point? Like, what made you say, you know what, enough is enough. I can't stay in this place. I can't stay in depression. I can't stay in bed. I can't pretend that everything is okay. What was that turning point for you?
Um, I would say one day I was getting ready to take my children to school. Well, actually, my son took him to school and my daughter to Head Start. So
Mm-hmm.
it was, after the divorce, I had moved to another town. It was just me and the kids. I had a friend here, I had a few friends here, people that I dealt with. Um, ice, eating ice was like breathing air to me.
Wow.
So on this particular day, we had stairs in our home. So on this particular day, I got to the top of the stairs and I had to sit there because I was so tired just going up the flight of stairs. And my son, he was like, Mom, please go to the doctor and take care of yourself. And I think from that day, I had to get it together because I did end up going to the emergency room.
Wow.
My hemoglobin was like a 2. So I had to end up getting, I believe it was 5 bags of blood.
Wow.
So it was like they had to wait to get the blood because, I have that rare blood type.
Oh,
So,
no.
right. So it was very scary. And I was sitting there and I was just like, I have 2 kids. I'm not healing. I haven't healed from what happened to me. So in order for me to raise my children the way I wanted to be raised, the way I wanted, and love them, be there for them, support them the way I wanted to, I had to heal. I had to get that stuff off of me. It was like layers. I had to start peeling back the layers in order to get to the root of the issue. So from that day forward, from my son, just saying, Mom, please go to the hospital. Please take care of yourself. From me hearing him say that to me, it was just like, I had to get it together because, even though that happened in my childhood, in some things, in adulthood, I caused on myself because I was so angry. I was hurt. I was bitter, So I think from that point, that standpoint right there, that's when I decided to start healing. That's when I decided I needed to I needed to tell my mom and my grandmother. I felt like if I didn't tell anybody else, it didn't matter, but I needed to tell them, so they would just love me and accept me, and just whatever I was thinking at the time. So I think that was really when I decided to start. Of course, I put that ice down. After that, I don't think I ever ate ice since then, That was like that was the starting point for my healing. I went through that, and it was just like, you have 2 little ones that depend on you. So what are you going to do? Are you going to continue to go down this road where you're continuously hurting yourself, causing yourself pain, you're not healing, or you're going to as the old people say, lay your cards down on the table and deal with it.
Wow.
So I think that was really where I started at. A few years back, I started right there, and I just ever since, I dealt with that, got better. Told my parent, told my mom, my granny, and told, my best friend. One of my best friends didn't know. The other one of them did. So it was just like, I told her, she was just like, why didn't you tell me? She was hurt, and I'm like, I don't want you to be hurt. I didn't know how to tell you because I dealt with trust issues. I'm better now, but still kind of touch and go.
Right.
At that point, it was just like, I don't trust anybody. Like, I don't know. I'm not gonna trust you with my business. But that was the turning point in my life where I decided that I was ready to heal because I want to, and I needed to live for my children. I want to live to see them grow up and be successful, someday, just live and enjoy life. So that was a turning point for me.
Wow, that is amazing. And you said a mouthful, to be honest, because with your son saying that, oh my gosh.
Right.
Because people don't, think about, the issues that they deal with, how it affects other people, and especially with you being a mother, it just wasn't affecting you, but, your children as well. And we don't realize it because I think about things from my own childhood, and there are things that I saw, both my parents do, the way they interacted with each other. And that had a big impression on me and my brother. And it's like, you can't just think that because it's something that you personally experienced, that it's not going to affect your children, because it affects
Right.
the way that you parent them, and the way that you're there for them. And so it impacts them in such a big way that you can't even imagine. So for him to say those words to you, and I'm glad that you use the wisdom to say that, what, okay, I need to do something. It's affecting my children. I can't just stay in this place. And the mere fact that you said that you wanted to live, you want to see your children grow up, and you want to be there for them, you want to fully be there for them.
Right.
That within itself says a whole lot. And for that to give you that push that you needed to start your journey of healing, like, wow. And so with that being said, how has your life changed today? Like, how are you today? Who is Miss La'Toya Spann today?
Well, today I am at peace.
Wow.
I'm happy. I love myself. I love me some me. I'm in love, falling in love with me more each day. My relationship with my children are awesome. I'm able to communicate more with anyone. That was my biggest thing. Like, I was always withdrawn, because I felt like people would judge me or they would hurt me because I had those trust issues. But now I'm really at peace. I'm enjoying life where I am right now.
Wow. Oh my gosh, that says a whole lot, sister. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that you are at a place of peace. And I think and it doesn't mean that you may not have days
right
where you might have like, okay, I just need to breathe in this moment.
I still have those days.
Yes, but overall, your good days outweigh those days that may not be so good.
Most definitely.
But absolutely, but compared to where you were before, you can see the growth and the progress. The growth in yourself and the progress of your journey. And I think it's great to be able to celebrate where you are and where you've come from, and also look forward to where God has you to go, because the journey, it never stops. That's the beautiful thing, is that it never stops. We're always growing, we're always maturing, as much as we want to, as much as we give ourselves permission to be able to do so. Because I think just think about what you share with your son's saying to you, he wants you to get help, he wants you to go to the hospital, that you had to give yourself permission to be able to start, that journey. And so often, with us being silent, with us holding things, we are, not giving ourselves permission to speak our truth, to tell our story, to give ourselves permission to just heal, and also allow ourselves, as you said earlier, to sit in and really think about what we've been through, but not to stay there. Acknowledge the things that they've been through. As you said, sometimes you pretended it didn't happen to me. This is it didn't happen. But the truth of the matter is, it did happen. And so we have to acknowledge those things and begin to allow healing. And so I wanted to ask you, how did your faith, how does your faith in God, how did that help you along your journey of the process of healing?
God has always been there. I knew that at an early age, because it was just like, okay, God, I know I went through this for some reason. I know I have a purpose in life, So God was always there. And it was just like, I started to pray more, I meditate, it's just like, I go sit out in nature, and it's like I feel like the presence of God. So that is actually something that I do. One of my great coping skills. Every day at noon, I meditate. If I'm able to go sit outside, I just like to feel the presence. I feel like I feel the presence of God if I go sit outside, especially if the sun is shining. It's beaming down on you, getting that positive energy, and it's just like, I know that I was put on this earth for a great purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And once I got to that healing point, I prayed. I began to pray more. I began to ask God, what is my purpose? And I found out what it was. So God has always been, a very big deal in my life, because I was raised, those Southern Black families, we go to church every Sunday. So, it wasn't like I never knew who God was. Yes. Every Sunday. But, the older you get, you have to you're either going to stray away or you're going to continue to have your faith. So I've always had faith. Faith is actually why I'm still alive. Excuse me. Why I'm still alive today. So
wow, and we're very grateful, for you being here, because we, like you said, we know that you have a purpose, and you know that you're called to impact, the world. And so I'm just so, grateful and just so blessed to be able to have you, as a contributor for the magazine. I thank you so much for being willing to share your story. And so I just want to know, what encouraging words do you have to share with our viewers?
Of course. Oh, I'm losing my voice. Face it. As I said earlier, sit in it so you can heal. Because healing is the only way you're going to live and enjoy life. When I say heal, a lot of people, kind of get it confused with, oh, you're acting like it didn't happen. No, that's not what I'm saying. You'll never forget, but you have to heal in order to enjoy life. So I want people to, if you feel like you don't have a voice, journal. That's the starting point, journal. And then eventually reach out, seek help, professional help, therapy. And then tell your story. Even if you don't, just tell it to one of your friends or your family member. Tell somebody.
Mm.
And that way, once you tell them, you will feel that relief. It's like that burden is gone. So, stay encouraged, read, definitely pray. And like I said, just sit in it for a while. Don't stay there, but sit in it. Ooh, I'm coughing now. But sit there, sit in it. Pray, ask God for guidance. You gotta ask God for guidance, because you went through it for, I didn't like when people said it to me. So, but you did go through it for a reason. Your life has a valuable purpose, but you need to seek God and ask what that purpose is, because we're all in this together. Everyone wants to live and enjoy life. So you got to embrace it. Start, embrace everything that happened to you, everything you've gone through, everything you've experienced. Sit there, and say, hey, I'm ready to heal. I'm ready to walk into my destiny. I'm ready to fulfill my purpose in life. But you have to seek guidance first. Well, you have to sit in it first and then seek guidance from God, so you'll know where you need to go, what you need to do. You just have to get that faith. And just like I really just, I'm a firm believer, you just got to sit in it and talk with God, and you listen, obey. Once you seek guidance, now you got to obey. You can't just be like, oh, well, I don't know about that. No, listen. You ask, so you got to do the work.
Absolutely. You have to do the work in your healing. And definitely when you're saying, sit in it, for me, I keep hearing, acknowledge, what it is that you've experienced. And then, also, like you said, so many people say, things happen for a reason. And we have to realize, that we live in a fallen world, and that there are people who make the decision to do bad things, to other people. And I want to make sure that people know that there are people who operate in their free will, and they do negative things, towards other people. So it's unfortunate, that we have, experienced these different, negative things, in the world. But they're the result, a lot of it, of the decisions of the people, who chose to do, bad things. So I would just want to make sure, that I put that out there as well, too. And so I just want to say thank you so much, La'Toya, again, for sharing your story and for being willing to encourage somebody else. And I pray that, whoever is watching, that you are encouraged, and that if you have any questions for myself or La'Toya, of course, you can reach out to us. La'Toya, can you share with them how they can stay connected with you, please?
Yes, you can follow me on social media, Twitter, and Instagram. It's I Survive Inc. That's I Survive INC. You can email me, isurviveinc@gmail.com, if you want to ever have a conversation. You feel like no one is listening, no one cares. I care. Please email me so you can talk to me, and we can just get on this healing journey together. You can, of course, Facebook. I'm on Facebook, I Survive Inc. as well. I do have a blog website. It's isurviveinc.weebly.com. Please reach out to me if you ever get into that feeling that no one cares, because I do. So Corey and I both do. So
yes, absolutely. Yes, and you can reach me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all those different platforms at Sequoia T. Gilliard. And also you can reach out to us both on a magazine site at rejoicinghope.com. And we look forward to coming before you again and to just share, our life stories and the things that we've been through, the lessons that we've learned to be able to encourage and empower you. And again, we thank you so much for viewing, and you all have an amazing day, just because you can. And so I will be back on later with my girl La'Toya. Bye.